Time is 2:10 on 10th of June. It's a Saturday and the year's 2017. I'm out at the Orroroal Valley Tracking Station car park and just going to go for a walk for a couple of days just to clear the head following the traumas of Nisha being in hospital. So I'm just going to go up to Cotter Gap tonight and then probably tomorrow try and get to Oldfields hut and then back to the car park on Monday. So I've got the Goal Zero 7-watt solar panel and the Guide 10 battery pack with 4 nickel metal hydride batteries in there and they're fully charged. I've got the Power Monkey Extreme battery which is fully charged as backup. So I'll try and see if I can get enough power from the sun to keep the Guide 10 fully charged over the weekend and draw as little as possible on the Power Monkey Extreme battery and use the power from the Guide 10 to keep the solar, keep the video camera going okay. So pack weighs about 17 kilos and 3 kilos of that is food. I've got gas stove, the Primus stove I bought in Scotland, and then I've got the Van Gogh sleeping bag and the Mont down jacket, so hope be warm enough. It's not that cold at the moment, but a bit overcast, so not good for solar energy, but it will keep the temperature up. So I'll just head off now and make my best speed up to Cotter Gap. Could even get a bit further. The time is 2:53 and making good time along this fire trail access road for Cotter Hut. That's Barumba Rocks over there on my right, and probably another 20 minutes be turning off this road. Well, the time's 3:20 and I've reached the point where I leave this access road and go up to Cotter Gap. Been a brisk walk getting here. A couple of steepy sections where I really felt the heart thumping. It's so quiet. I just paused a couple of times for maybe 10 seconds. Could feel the heart really pumping. Not breathless at all, so that's good. Nice stress test for the body, which seems to be okay, so happy with that. So I'm not carrying any water. I have 3 litres of empty water bottles. I know that up at Cotter Gap there's probably water to be found in the swamp, but that means wading around in the swamp, probably getting wet feet, so I think I'll miss on that. There's a little stream just before the steep rise for the final half kilometre or so up to the gap. This stream as I mentioned previously, this is probably the most convenient place to collect water before reaching the gap. So I'll fill my 3 water bottles, and then it's probably another 20 minutes to the gap. It's already 4 o'clock. It'll be dark by a bit after 5, so probably no sense proceeding beyond the gap. Have set up camp and have a bit of relaxation time, and then cook dinner before it gets dark. Well, the time's 4:36 and I've reached Cotter Gap. It's only been a grind coming up the hill from that creek. Certainly noticed the 3 kilos of water I've been carrying. So it's about half an hour now till sunset. So I'll pitch the tent and start cooking dinner before it gets too dark. Well, this is the swamp at Cotter Gap. I'm sure there's water out there if go looking for it, but probably not worth the effort. That's why I filled up at the creek at the bottom of that last hill. Well, it's now 5:05 and tent's up, and silly me's only brought along 5 tent pegs, so I could have done with a few more, but not windy, so no problem. Using a rock instead of a peg in one place. Now I'll cook dinner. Temperature's about 7 degrees Celsius at the moment and getting a bit cool, so I'll put on the down jacket now. Well, first course tonight is the soup. I think it's Asian laksa. It'll be followed by lentils with rice. I'll need to cook the lentils for a bit over an hour, I think, so I'll use my technique of bringing it to boil and letting it stand with no gas with a pot cosy for about 15 minutes and then bring it back to boil. So I'll cycle it that way so it can stay warm but not use an hour's worth of gas. So see how that goes, but the soup will be nice to start with. Time is 6 p.m. and I've just put the beans on. I've put in 1/4 cup of the soup mixture, and I'll bring it to the boil and let it stand in the pot cosy, and I'll cycle it at about 15 minutes intervals and for 1 hour. And probably after half an hour I'll put the rice on, so the rice will be cooked for about half an hour. Time is 6:10 and I've stopped the stove and put the pot cosy on, so I'll now let it stand for 15 minutes. Time is 6:48 and just put in 1/4 cup of rice and I'll start the stove again. Well, this is my original thermarest dating from the mid-1980s with the metal valve. And so it's a bit heavy. I think it's about 750 grams, but it fits inside this small tent, so that's why I brought it. Time is 7:49 and dinner's ready. I've just got to add the Chinese sauce and stir it in. The time is 6:15 in the morning on Sunday 11 June. Temperature at the moment is about -5 degrees Celsius. There's a full moon and the sun won't be rising until a bit after 7. So another 45 minutes till sunrise. Going to start cooking breakfast now. I think the sleeping bag, with wearing this down jacket inside the sleeping bag, was was just tolerable, for the cold. It's a synthetic sleeping bag and not even rated down to 0, so it hasn't done too bad with the extra insulation. Last year it was -10. I survived with this same sleeping bag down at Oldfields hut. So this down jacket sure makes a difference to the survivability of the bag. Can't say it wasn't the deepest sleep, sort of just so I was aware that it was cold, but I wasn't shivering or anything like that. Also, I think a bit of a downhill sideways slope, so we're rolling down towards the direction of the camera. We've got a bit of frozen condensation on the bottom of the inside of the fly sheet of this tent. I guess that's to be expected, just given that it's -5. Cup of coffee and the rolled oats. Have a go at the pancake after this. Birds are now started to sing, so I'll try and get a sound recording. Well, mixing the pancake mixture. Mixing the pancake mixture. So we'll be using this frying pan. Bit of oil. It's a non-stick Trengia frying pan. I'll make them small so they're easier to turn. Well, this is the second pancake finished, so 1/4 cup of the pancake mix, 1/4 cup of milk and a bit over 1/4 cup of water mixed together has produced this. This cold temperature the honey doesn't flow too well. The time is 8:25 and I've all packed up now and am about to leave from Cotter's Gap and head down to the Cotter River, cross the river and then up to Murray's Gap, see what time I get there and then decide whether I go on to Oldfields hut. Nice sunny day, tent's all covered in frost, so fingers got really cold packing it up. Bit of a pain, but it's all done now. So nice sun, so should be good walking and get some energy back into that Guide 10 battery. Time is 9:10 and Mount Bimbree's just coming into view. This is the tallest mountain and it's on the ACT New South Wales border. To be more accurate, it's the tallest mountain in this area. Its summit is a bit over 1900 metres altitude. The time is now 9:49 and I'm almost at Cotter Flat. Very nice in the sunshine. I've just met 2 people walking out back to the car park. Otherwise I think I'm the only one out here. Don't think there's anyone at the ranger station. The hut Be soon at the river where I'll have to cross and then remove a layer of clothing. Currently have 3 tops on because it's going to be uphill from here up to Murray's Gap, which is at least 1550 metres altitude, and Kaider River is at about 900 metres, so it's a fair bit of climbing after crossing the river. Time is 10 o'clock and at the river. Think I can get across without taking the shoes off. See how this log is. Well, I was able to get across by using the 2 walking poles for balance and then straddling across sideways the 2 logs that are spanning the river. Actually, I was wrong in thinking I was the only one out here because just seen a tent just beside the river. Looks like even 2 tents. So there's other people around. They've probably gone up Mount Bimbri, I would think. The Kaider River is the major river feeding the dams supplying water to Canberra. So this is a water catchment area, and this rainfall recording station I've never seen before. So they're obviously collecting data for water flowing into the dams. Only the gentlest of breezes blowing at the moment. Time is 10:21 and this is Kaider Hut, which is a locked hut, so no staying here. The rangers use it for accommodation when they're out here doing work and they're monitoring of river flow level for the dams downstream. The time is now 10:42 and I've reached the junction of the Murray's Gap Trail, so I'm leaving the Yayok Gap Trail at this point, and it's 4.5 kilometres up to Murray's Gap, which will be the New South Wales ACT border. So it's all uphill and gets quite steep in places. Time's almost 12 o'clock and I think we're reaching the end of the road soon. Time is 12:03 and this is a turning circle at the end of the road. Time is 12:16 and the summit of Mount Murray's now visible. Wind's starting to pick up. It's going to be a bit windy, I think, at the gap. Time is 12:48 and I've arrived at Murray's Gap. Lunch today was some trail mix with some cheese, and I made 3 pancakes, plus finished off with a cup of tea. Stove performed well with a windshield in the little breeze. The time is 2:20 and leaving Murray's Gap and heading downhill to Oldfields hut, which is 6.5 kilometres away. It's going to make a long day tomorrow, so have to be an early start to get back to the tracking station. Time is 2:44 and I enter this big clearing and see 2 wild horses out in the middle. take a few photos, but as I get closer they run off. Time is now 3:10 and I'm at the Digby River, not far to the hut now. I was going to fill up water here, but I just remembered there's a rainwater tank at the hut, so I'll try there first and then if necessary might have to return here for water. Time is 3:25 and I've just arrived at Oldfields hut. There's a tent pitched near the hut. Nice sunny afternoon. I'll pitch the tent now to dry it out in the last of the sun and then start cooking dinner. It's 5:20 on Monday 12th of June. I'm up early because I want to get an early start, head back to Orroroal Valley. It's a bit of a long walk today, so don't want to get back to the car too late. There's one doozy of a frost outside and on the inside of the fly sheet of the tent. Don't know what temperature it is. I've got the thermometer outside measuring as I speak. The thermometer's been in the vestibule and it was certainly about -2 inside the cover of the tent. So I'll cook breakfast now, same as yesterday, and then pack up and try and leave when it starts getting light around 7 o'clock this morning. It seems to be about -7 degrees Celsius. Well, the honey's so cold, wouldn't even come out of the bottle, so porridge is just without the honey today. Might heat up some water to soften it a bit for the pancakes. All that remains now is to send my yellow brick message stating my intentions for today, and then to pull down this tent. It was hard getting the fly off the frame structure because everything frozen and my hands got very cold and painful, and had to resort to putting on the gloves, and then still wasn't very easy job getting the fly sheet separated, but persevered and succeeded, and then packed everything up. The solar panel doesn't seem to be giving any charging light yet for the Guide 10, so hope nothing's wrong there. Certainly very cold. A lot of frost came off the tent when I shook it. 7:35 and I'm now leaving Oldfields hut. The route is same as it was coming back out here, so I think I'll ease off with a video on the return. But good to get going. It's a long trip, and Murray's Gap's always had an attraction to me, because I remember back in my early days in Canberra with the Canberra Bushwalking Club, coming up here a number of times and camping at the Gap before going up Bimbri the following day. It was a longish 2-day trip. Always in the winter months, May, June. Always remember being very cold up here, and nice campfire. They were allowed in those days, but not anymore. So that's the reason I like coming back here. It brings back nice memories. The snow gums and the snow grass and the sphagnum moss. Temperature at 9:03 is that it's about 3 degrees Celsius. Time is 9:12 and leaving Murray's Gap and heading back down to Cotter River. Time is now 9:49 and just stopped to take off the Gore-Tex jacket. On the last steep section, felt a bit of pain just above the right knee on the steep downhill grade. Knee felt like collapsing a couple of times, so not sure what that means, but have a little bit of a rest and use the poles a bit more judiciously to try and support that right knee on the steep parts. The time is now 10:45 and I've just reached Cotter Hut. The gates on the entrances to the hut compound a bit of a pain. Have to take the pack off and climb through the fence. Time is 10:51 and at the Cotter River. I think I'll have early lunch. Should be back at the car in 3 3/4 hours from here. Well, I got across, getting from the first log onto the smaller log proved a bit dangerous to me, was very wobbly, so I stepped on some of the bigger rocks and a few splashes of water came in the left boot through the ankle, but otherwise feet are dry. So it's now up to Cotter Gap, which I think is about 2 hours, and then probably an hour and 3/4 back from there. Time is 12:37 and just reached Pond Creek, where I have a drink of water. Still nice and sunny. Approaching Cotter Gap. It's now 1:32 and I've arrived at Cotter Gap. Going to have a little sit down here and play with the solar panel and try charging the Sony action camera directly from the solar panel using the USB converter. I've got the solar panel sitting directly out in the sun and voltage is measuring 4.3 volts out of a USB converter. But the Sony action camera is not charging. Solar panel's only generating 13 milliamp. For the second test, I've got the solar panel in the same position, but this time it's connected up to the PowerMonkey Extreme battery. The panel's producing 4.3 volts and current is 313 milliamps. And the PowerMonkey Extreme battery showing that it is charging. That would indicate to me that the electronics in the USB converter is not compatible with the charging electronics in the Sony action camera. The Sony action camera requires voltage and current above what the solar panel can produce, so it won't charge. Time is 4:24 and back at the Orroroal Valley Trekking Station car park. My last deed is to sign out on the bushwalking register. So trip's complete now, off home. Whenever I go out in the bush, I always take my yellow brick and my PLB. The yellow brick is a iridium-based messenger and also can send tracking points. It costs £10 per month for rental of the satellite connection, and then about 10 pence per message. He can also receive messages. The PLB is monitored by the Australian government and will initiate a search and rescue response if activated. Whenever I reach campsite or in the morning, I'll send a message through the yellow brick saying where I'm headed, and then in the evening I'll send a message saying that I've arrived safely.